before we get going, I wanted to introduce our guests today, and I'll have them tell us their name and how old they are. So let's start on this side.
Michaela.
Michaela, that's a very pretty name. How old are you?
9.
9. Wow. And your name is?
Aubrey.
Aubrey. That's another pretty name. I like your dress today. That's very nice.
Thank you.
And how old are you, Aubrey?
7.
7. Wow. And you, my friend, how old are you?
I'm 8.
And your name is?
Carly.
Carly. That's a pretty name. And last but not least,
My name's Maya, and I'm 6.
you are. You're a big 6. Very tall. Well, you girls look very pretty today, and I really thank you for coming in. And who is this down here?
Casey.
That's Casey. He's the Australian Shepherd, and he's going to be with us today, too. He's a very accomplished dog, by the way. He's a therapy dog, and he has his utility title. So we're happy to have him today. Yeah?
You forgot to say how old he was.
Oh, that's good to know. I think he's 8 years old. So thank you for reminding me about that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, any other questions before we start? That was a really good question. So today we're going to be reading a story that's called Crisis Averted. That's a big word, crisis averted, but it really means problem solved. So every time I read that in the story, I want you to yell, problem solved. Raise your hand. Can you do that? Let's practice a little bit. Crisis averted, problem solved. There you go. Okay. And also, when we read the story, I'm going to stop it a couple times and ask you some questions. If you raise your hand, I'll try to pick on somebody to answer the question. And if I don't pick on you, maybe I'll pick on you the next time in terms of answering the question, okay? So everybody gets a turn. All right. So the name of the story, again, is Crisis Averted. And this is Bridget the Dachshund. She's a long-haired wiener dog. Okay? And this story is really about Bridget. Okay? It was 5 p.m. and Jimmy had gone to feed the dogs. However, there was not enough food for Philip and Bridget, the dachshunds, the wiener dogs, and Casey, the Australian Shepherd. I have to go to the pet food shop and pick up some dog food, Jimmy said aloud, speaking to the dogs. Although the dogs did not understand him, they were a little distressed or upset that they hadn't been fed yet. Now, one of the things about this story is that the dogs can talk to each other, but they don't speak human. And humans can't speak to the dog except by, the dogs don't understand them, except for certain commands and things like that. So that's different. Jimmy got ready to go to the pet food shop and get their food. He grabbed his phone and called Joellen, his wife, to let her know what was happening. Then he grabbed his keys, got into the car, and went to pick up some dog food. So here's your first question, girls. Why is it important that Jimmy told his wife where he was going? Why is it important to tell people where you're going? Carly?
Because maybe she won't know where you went, and then she'll think that you ran off or something.
Well, she might get worried. She may not know where I am, right? Very good. Very good. Well, when Jimmy got to the pet food shop, he picked up a 50-pound bag of dog food. That's a big bag of dog food. We have a lot of hungry dogs. I better get some dog treats while I'm here, Jimmy said to himself. I don't want another crisis because they're out of treats. After paying for the items, Jimmy headed home. When he walked in with the dog food, the dogs were happy to see him. He put down the big bag and opened it quickly and poured the kibbles into each of their bowls. Then he said, crisis averted, problem solved. All right. And he thought to himself, that's what he thought to himself. While waiting for Jimmy to put the bowls on the floor, Casey said, Philip, you know what my favorite number is? And Philip said, no, I'm not sure what your favorite number is. And Casey said, 8. And then with that, as soon as Jimmy put the bowls on the floor, Casey inhaled his food. And there's a little poem here. Munching my kibbles, I try not to eat too fast. I love my dinner. I know I should eat one bite at a time, Casey said, and try to be mindful of the taste, but I was so hungry, I just couldn't stand it. He was hungry that day. Meanwhile, Philip had finished his kibbles too and was heading for Bridget's bowl to help her finish her food. Nice guy, wasn't he? That was really not that nice, because he was finishing his food. He was going to take some of Bridget's. When Jimmy saw this, he stepped between Bridget and Philip to separate them so Bridget could eat her food in peace. She normally liked to eat a little slower, but tonight Bridget ate even slower than usual. She seemed to chew her food on one side of her mouth. I wonder if Bridget has a toothache, Jimmy said to herself. So here are the dogs, and they're eating their kibbles. You can see Casey's big smile, huh? He loves to eat his kibbles. And then this next picture, what's happening there? Samaya?
Jim came into the room and he seen.
Step right between them so that Philip couldn't take her food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. So Philip was a little miffed or angry that he could not take Bridget's kibbles. So he teased her a little by making up a very special poem called Limericks, because dachshunds often speak in limericks. Now, here's a question for you. Ready? How do you think Bridget felt when Philip teased her? Anybody know? Samaya?
I forgot the question.
Oh, the question was, how do you think Bridget felt if she got teased?
She felt sad because he lied to her.
Well, she could have felt sad. What's some other answers? Carly?
Maybe she felt a little angry at him.
A little angry? Yeah. She was teasing her. No, we don't like that when people tease us, do we? No, that doesn't feel good, does it? No. All right, so that's one of the things that Bridget was feeling. She was feeling a little angry because he was teasing her. All right, and this is the limerick. This is a special poem. But remember, they tease in poems, right? Bridget the dachshund had a toothache when eating her food. As you might guess, it put her in a bad mood. She couldn't blame the dentist, and she couldn't blame his apprentice. She didn't brush her teeth, and that wasn't very shrewd. That wasn't very smart, was it? Although Philip was teasing Bridget, she had a lot of self-control. I don't want to have a meltdown and bite Philip, she said to herself, so she decided to take space and cool off and relax. After giving Philip a little growl, as if to say, you'd better stop teasing me, Bridget walked away. So here's your next question. You ready? Okay. When is it important to take space? And how does it help when you're angry? Do you know what that means when you're taking space? Mikhail, what do you think about that? Do you ever take space? Do you ever go to your room when you get angry? No. Would you ever walk away? You do. Okay. So that's one of the things, and that helps us when somebody teases us to walk away, take some space, right? Okay. And that helps out so we don't get upset with the person. We can calm down. We can relax. When Bridget needed to relax, she went to her special place. That's the place she felt safe. So she walked into the computer room where her kennel was, and she took space. You know what a kennel is? Samaya?
The cage.
It is. It's where that's where she has her bed, and that's where she feels the most safe. It's like her bedroom. Okay. So she walked into the computer room where her kennel was and took some space. And after entering the kennel, she laid upside down on the comforter in a relaxation pose. So let me show you. We have a nice picture here of Bridget in her kennel. She's lying upside down. Did you ever see a dog lie upside down like that? She's relaxing, isn't she? Okay. And she's thinking and she's calming down. Well, here's another question I have for you, ladies. Where is your special place? The place you feel most comfortable, have privacy, and can relax. When you're upset, where can you relax? Michaela?
My room.
Your room? Okay. Very nice. Aubrey, where do you relax?
On the couch.
On the couch, okay. Samaya?
In my room.
In your room? Carly?
In my room.
In your room, okay. So a lot of people like to use it because that's their private place, right? That's the place they can be calm and relax, lie in their bed. Very nice. Well, Bridget had another problem. I need to let Jimmy, my master, know that I have to go to the dentist. I don't speak human, she said to herself, so how am I going to do it? She thought about it and she came up with a plan. I know. I can leave him some clues, but for this to work, I have to pick the right time and the place. So she couldn't really speak human, so she's going to have to find another way and leave Jimmy some cues. Wonder what she thought of. Confident that she could do it, she put her paws together and pretended to blow out a candle as she took a deep, cleansing breath. Deep cleansing breath? Can you make a candle? Can you blow out the candle? And that's what she did. She took a deep cleansing breath and blew out the candle. As it happened, Bridget did not have to wait long for the opportunity to lay out some clues for Jimmy. That's good. Jimmy needed all the help he can get. When she walked into the living room, she noticed that her missy, Joellen, had left her pocketbook open on the chair. So Bridget pulled it down and made a small bang as it hit the carpet. Neither Jimmy nor Joellen heard the pocketbook fall. Then Bridget put her head inside the pocketbook. And she pulled out some things. What do you think she pulled out? Smile?
Her dentist.
Yeah, some of the stuff that she had when going to the dentist. And so she noticed that her missy had a travel toothbrush. She had some floss. She had a retainer. She had a dental appointment card. So she pulled them all out and she laid them in a big pile. Those were Jimmy's clues. At first, Jimmy did not hear Bridget making any noise, but when she started pulling items out of her missy's pocketbook, Jimmy heard the noise and went to investigate. Went to see what was happening. When Jimmy walked into the living room, he saw Bridget taking items out of Joellen's pocketbook. Jimmy said, "Bridget, stop!" Why did he say stop? Smile?
Because he might have thought that she was taking the stuff out of her pocketbook.
Right. And so the rule is she can't go into Joellen's pocketbook or Missy's pocketbook. But that's what she did. So Jimmy said stop. He didn't want her to mess things up for her. Right? So when Jimmy walked into the living room, he saw Bridget taking items out of Joellen's pocketbook and he said stop. Then Jimmy went to pick up the pocketbook and put the items back in. However, as Jimmy did this, he noticed something very odd. All of the items had a dental theme. They were all about going to the dentist. That's funny, he thought. It's like Bridget's trying to tell me something. Jimmy pondered or thought about the clues which Bridget had left, the fact that she was eating slowly, the fact that she was chewing her food on one side of her mouth, that she had left all those clues about the dentist. Finally, Jimmy's getting it. Jimmy considered that Bridget might have a toothache. So Jimmy got on the phone and he called the animal clinic. That's where you go. What's the animal clinic?
It's like a doctor for dogs.
It is. It's the doctor for dogs. You have a Chihuahua, right? Do you ever take your dog to the vet? Yeah. So that's where so that's what Jimmy did. He called the vet. And after talking to Dr. Bill, he thought it was a good idea to bring Bridget by tomorrow for a dental appointment. So Bridget could be checked out by the doctor, right? Doctor said to Jimmy, "Don't put any water down in the morning or feed her in case I have to give her anesthesia to fill a cavity." Ooh, that sounds serious. "Okay," Jimmy said. Then he hung up the phone. Jimmy picked up Bridget and said to her, "Little Bridget, tomorrow you're going to Dr. Bill's." Bridget had been to Dr. Bill's many times before and understood what Jimmy was talking about. She was a little nervous about going to the dentist, but she knew she needed to get her toothache taken care of, so it didn't hurt anymore. Bridget felt distressed and a little anxious, and when she did this, she often self-soothed by making her bed. Did you ever see a dog bed? We have one in our living room, and she gets on the bed and she kind of makes her bed. She kind of paws at it a little bit and kneads it. Then she gets on there and she might go to sleep. Do you have a dog bed? You do? Does your dog do that? Yeah. Okay, that's how they calm themselves down and self-soothe. So when you're anxious and you're nervous, how do you calm down? Anybody want to have some thoughts of that? Carly?
Do gymnastics.
You do gymnastics? That's really neat. Some people do exercise. Some people listen to music. Some people ride their bike. What do you girls do? Aubrey? Do you have something you do when you want to be calm, or you want to when you calm yourself down? No, do you play with dolls? Stuffed animals? No. Wow. Samaya?
I go in my tent.
You go in your tent. That's really neat. That's a pretty calm place to go. Okay. In the morning, Jimmy got up and dressed, and he talked to Bridget and said, "Time to go to Dr. Bill's." Jimmy put on her harness and attached the leash, and then he took her for a car ride to visit Dr. Bill. Jimmy and Bridget were the first in the waiting room that morning. There was a pug in the waiting room already. A black lab puppy came in after that. Finally, Dr. Bill called Bridget. Calling Bridget the dachshund. Calling Bridget the dachshund. You ever hear that on those medical shows? Yeah, sometimes that. So finally, Dr. Bill called Bridget, and when Jimmy heard her call her name, Jimmy brought her into the examination room. Bridget was nervous, but she kept telling herself, "I can do this, relax. I can do this, relax." And here's my next question. That's something she says to herself, but what can you say to yourself to relax? Anybody have any thoughts? That's a hard question. Some people say to themselves, "I can do this. I can make it through this." Do you ever think about that? Okay. Some of the questions are very hard, but I want you to think about that what we say to ourselves can help calm ourselves down. Okay. So here's Jimmy in the waiting room. There's a little black lab puppy, and there's what kind of dog is that?
Pug.
That's a pug. A little pug, and there's Jimmy. Bridget's got her nice pink harness on, doesn't she? So that's really, she's all dressed up. That's for Bridget, that's being all dressed up. Dr. Bill was a very friendly veterinarian, and Bridget trusted him. He picked up Bridget gently and put her on the examination table. "Where does it hurt, Bridget?" Dr. Bill said. Jimmy explained that he had observed what he had observed and asked if she might have a problem with one of her teeth. Dr. Bill said, "Well, let's take a look." And after that, he opened her mouth and checked her teeth. So here's her picture. He's up on the examination table, and Dr. Bill's checking her teeth. He didn't say "ah" though, did he? No. "I think I see the problem," Dr. Bill said. "It's not serious. A little stick has gotten stuck between her teeth and her gum. Sometimes Bridget chewed on sticks, and a piece must have gotten broken off and gotten stuck." Ooh, that could hurt, though. Dr. Bill took tweezers and gently removed the stick. Bridget took a deep sigh and said, "Crisis averted. Problem?
Problem solved.
Problem solved." Okay. When Bridget got back home, she told Casey all about her trip to Dr. Bill's. She probably made it sound like there was no problem whatsoever. Bridget was in a much better mood now, was joking around. While waiting for Jimmy, he gave them some treats. And while waiting for Jimmy to give them some treats, she asked Philip and Casey, "Why did the dog Biscuit cry?" She was trying to tell a bad joke. And she said, and when Philip and Casey said they didn't know, Bridget said, "Because their mother was away for so long." You'll get that in about 10 minutes. You'll think that's a funny joke. Jimmy gave them a dog biscuit, and they all relaxed when it was time to go inside. So here they are getting all kinds of dog biscuits and having a good time, and everybody's in a good mood now. But here's my final question for you. You ready? This is a toughie. Why is it important to take care of yourself? Ooh, I got two hands up. Carly?
Because if you don't take care of yourself, you might not be healthy.
Yes, you might not be healthy. We call that self-care. It's very important. It starts young, right? It starts when you're little girls, and then you do it when you're older. And you go to the doctors and you go to the dentist and you do things that make you feel healthy, right? Okay. Well, that's the end of the story. That's the end. So, next thing I wanted to do was to do a little yoga and breath work with my friend Claire. Okay?
So my name is Claire, and I am a yoga instructor from Kapalo, and I'm happy to be here with you today to do yoga. It seems to me that you've been sitting for a half an hour. That's a long time to stay still. Did anybody find it difficult to stay still that long? Okay. So yoga is a wonderful thing to do when you feel like that. So let's stand up and we'll start some movement in our bodies and we'll start using our breath. Okay? So let's stand up. And just have your feet like a little bit of space between them. Good. And Samaya, can you move forward just a little bit? And Aubrey, move forward a little bit. Okay, and then we can bring the arms up like this. And reach them up overhead, bring the palms together, and then lower them back down. Good. So you want to bring your breath into it. So you breathe in through your nose. And then lower them back down and breathe out. And do it again. Oh, you're doing a nice job. And a couple more times. This is called the sun breath. And sometimes people like to bring these hands in front like this, and you can bend your knees and then lift back up again. And then bend your knees and bring the hands in front. You're doing beautiful sun breaths. Let me see if I can hear you breathing. And you are doing your own thing, which is great. So let's do what Samaya's doing. And now bring your hands to your heart and just be still for a moment. Remember how hard that is to do sometimes. And then let's come down onto your knees so that you're sitting like this. Good. And in the book, it talked a little bit about what to do when you're a little bit anxious. Right? And everybody gets like that at times. We get kind of tight when that happens. So one of the things that we can do is use our breath. And one of the breaths that you can do is, it's called the letting go breath. You just go like this. Deep breath in and then you go, ah. Okay? It's also called the bunny breath. So you breathe in deeply and you go, again. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit and we're going to take 3 breaths. So it'll be like this. I'll show you. Okay? 3 breaths in. And you can be a bunny if you want to. Once more. That was awesome. So another breath that you can use, it's called the snake breath. And the snake breath is done by taking a deep breath in like this, and then using your hands and making a hissing sound. Okay, so you two could face each other if you want to and do it. And Carly, you two could face each other and do it. So a deep breath in, and then hiss. And another deep breath in, and hiss. And again. Hiss. And again. All right, you've been great bunnies, you've been great snakes. One other one that you can do, let's sit cross-legged so that you crisscross applesauce. Good. And this is called the bee breath. You can bring your hands on your knees and you breathe in and you make a bee sound. Bzzz. Okay, so let's do that. Deep breath in. Do we want to move with it? What kind of movement would you do? You'd flop your arms, okay. Want to try that? Okay, deep breath in. Anybody else want to try a different way of moving? No? I'm going to try it. This is one thing you could do. You could make little circles as you're doing it with your torso. So deep breath in. And when you run out of breath, then do it again. Okay, now stop. And then take another deep breath and go the opposite way. Oh, now notice how you feel. Do you feel any different? Do you? How do you feel?
I feel calm.
You feel calm, more calm. Anybody else feel that way? A little bit? Yeah? Okay. Let's stand again. And we'll do the bee breath, but this is what I'm going to do is lift the arms up. And we'll change the volume, okay? So as I lift my arms up, you do it as I lower the volume, you're going to bring them back down, okay? Ready? Deep breath in. Anybody want to be the leader? No? You want to? No? Want me to do it again? Let's do it again. Okay, turn your palms out. Stand up really straight. Good. And take one of those breaths in and let it out. Ah. And yawning's good. Yawning's good. It makes us all yawn, probably. But it kind of lets go of stuff, so it's a good thing to do. So breathe in. Did you hold that the whole time? Did you all? Or did you have to take another breath? All right, you want to do it one more time? Okay. Anybody want to be the leader now? No? Okay. Palms out. Breathe in. I'm running out of breath. Do you want to see who can hold the breath the longest doing that? Who can keep it going the longest? Okay. Ready? Deep breath in. Keep going. If you haven't taken another breath, keep it going. Right. Good job. Good job. All right. Now shake a little bit. Shake. Just a little bit of shaking. What do they call this in school? Shake your sillies out? Do they say that? No? Okay. Do you know what a surfer is?
No.
No? Well, a surfer gets on the water and they have a board and they sort of go like this. So see if you can come into this kind of a position. I'm going to turn so I can see you. You guys are great. I'm falling over. Okay. Yeah. Now, pretend we're on the water in some beautiful place where there's waves and warm water. All right?
I'm on the blue.
And there's big waves coming. Get on the blues, yeah. And there's big waves coming. So you got to hold this really carefully. Press your feet down. And then look forward to see the waves coming. Here comes a great big one, a big one, a big one. Oh. Oh. Anybody fall off? No? Okay. Let's do it again. Here comes another one. Big wave. Here it comes.
I can touch my feet.
Good. You can touch your feet that way. Good. Okay, let's do it the other way. Let's turn. And let's do it towards the back this way. Okay. Okay. So we're going that way. Okay. And again, there's a great big wave coming. It's coming from behind the black curtain. Here it comes. And it's coming right up over us. And you stayed on your board, right? Okay, and one more time. Here it comes. That's awesome. Okay. Now turn your feet forward and come down onto your knees again for a minute.
I'm on the blue.
Do you remember that in the story, at one point, they did this?
Mhm.
Do you remember when that was? When was it?
It was when he was going to try to tell Jim something.
Okay. I think it was a way of trying to calm down a little bit. Okay, so why don't we do this? If you kneel and you take a deep breath in and pretend this is a candle and you're blowing it out. And let's do it 5 times. And you can do this if you want to. Was that 5? Or was that 4? One more time. All right, let's stand up one more time. And put your arms up way overhead. And turn this way. You can turn that way, yeah. And just look at me though, okay? And just wiggle your hands. And imagine that it's raining. Raining, raining, raining. And then bend over and bring the hands behind you. And shake the hands behind you. And this is sort of like a bird. And then lift the arms up again. Up overhead. Reach up, reach up. And then bend forward again and bring the hands behind and shake those hands. And then one more time. Up. And then bring them behind. Awesome. Okay, and come down onto the mat. And one more time, we'll just do the blow out the candle. Okay. 2 things I want to do to end. One is, I imagine you've all made popcorn. Have you? Have you ever made popcorn? Yeah, okay. So there's something that you can do that's kind of fun. That now I want you to watch first, because I'm going to, I want 2 of you to do it different, okay? So watch first. So this is called, when you tighten yourself up like this, it feels good. Like when you're after you've done something, like you've had to stay still for a long time, going like this is good. And then you go pop. Okay? So you tighten up, and then pop. Okay? So, girls with the dresses, what you can do is be like this, tighten up, and then go pop. Okay? Will that work? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to hear the pop. Okay? Pop. Okay? All right. So why don't you, Michaela and Michaela and Kylie, you want to lie down and tighten up real tight, and Samaya and Aubrey, if you want to just be like this, okay, and tighten up your face, okay? Do you want to do that or not? Would you rather not? Would you rather do it the way we're doing it? Do it the way we're doing it then, okay? Okay, so tighten up. Deep breath in, hold it, and then pop. Okay, and again, tighten up, deep breath, and then pop. Okay, good job. All right. You girls have done wonderfully in yoga. You know, the last thing that you do, oh, and I just thought I'd mention, I think we just had a crisis averted, right?
Problem solved.
Yeah, right? Okay, and you all helped solve the problem. All right, so the last thing you do in yoga is just to lie down. And just lie down for a minute. So maybe we could just lie this way, so your feet are going this way. And just have your hands beside you. Okay, got enough room? I'll move over. And just take a minute to just think about how you feel. See if you feel any different from when we started this.
Can you do a fake sleep?
And you can do a fake sleep, because actually this is a time that you just quiet down your body, and it's all the yoga that you did. It all kind of integrates into your whole being. So your body, your mind, and your spirit, it all kind of pulls it all together. So you can just, it's hard to lay still, isn't it? Yeah. No? Okay.
Do you stay still like this? And this?
Mhm.
And this?
Okay. All right, so why don't you sit up again? And I just want to thank you. Turn around again in your half circle. And the way we, yeah, Aubrey, you want to move back there? The way usually we end a yoga class is before we end, I'm going to do one more thing. Can you make a fist like this? Okay. And then this part between your knuckles, place it down into the mat. Okay. And then say, I can stay calm in my heart.
I can stay calm in my heart.
And now say it to yourself. Good. And now bring your hands together. And usually at yoga class we end with words namaste. Namaste. So it means the light in me respects the light in you. Okay? So you can say this to each other. You can just look at each other and go like this if you'd like to. Okay? So thank you very much for doing this. You did a lovely job.